We're Andy and Judy, and we're coming to you from Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And we are very much looking forward to playing for you. We're going to play a bunch of originals. The first one is a song about Sears and Roebuck kit houses, and it's called Some Assembly Required. 2, 3, and... My Sears and Roebuck catalog of 1922 had an ad for something I could use, and I knew just what to do. Price was right and I could pay it off, so I signed on the bottom line. My American dream number 204 would very soon be mine. It was shipped in a separate railroad car to the depot right downtown. It was marked Modern Home, honor built by a company most renowned. At the building side, my friends and I were planning and making speeches. Thought it seemed a little weird to have my house delivered in pieces. Well, it's my home, my castle on the hill. No fancy brick pool or a spire. The deed to my American dream said some assembly required. Well, I picked a spot to build the house a lot among the clover. There's 30,000 parts in all. I hope there's none left over. Started in to raise the walls as leaves began to blow. If the Lord is willing and the creek don't rise, we'll be done before the snow. Well, it's my home, my castle on the hill. No fancy brick pool or a spire. The deed to my American dream said some assembly required. Come on in and take a tour. It's 6 rooms and a bath. Took all I had to buy this house at $3,000 cash. Today my Sears and Roebuck home is a bargain on the wing. It's a testament to a bygone time when Sears could sell anything. Well, it's my home, my castle on the hill. No fancy brick pool or a spire. The deed to my American dream said some assembly required. Well, it's my home, my castle on the hill. No fancy brick pool or a spire. The deed to my American dream said some assembly required. The deed to my American dream said some assembly required. This next song, folks, is going to be about a mine disaster in Illinois, and it happened in 1909. And the song is from the perspective of a young boy who survived the disaster, and it's called the St. Paul Mine. 2, 3. In 1909, when I was just a boy, my father died at the St. Paul Mine in Cherry, Illinois. Myself and many others would escape the flames that day. Many more had a different fate. The owners knew the power was out, used torches for light, they said. When the hay caught fire well down below, the owner showed no regret. 'cause it was profits before people. Coal grew, their money rolled. With their greed, they lost their soul. Where I live, there's a big hole in the ground. Where I live, no little kids run around. They work in the mine every day. Where I live, that's all there is to say. They closed off both the shafts so the flames would get no higher. They left the men and the boys to perish in the fire. 500 went down that shaft, fewer than half came home. They left the widows and orphans alone. Where I live, there's a big hole in the ground. Where I live, no little kids run around. They work in the mine every day. Where I live, that's all there is to say. Some say it was the owners, some say it was the mine that sealed the miner's fate. Was it greed or a bad design? By grace I got out, I dodged the reaper's scythe. I'll tell the tale my whole life. Where I live, there's a big hole in the ground. Where I live, no little kids run around. They work in the mine every day. Where I live, that's all there is to say. Where I live, there's a big hole in the ground. Where I live, no little kids run around. They work in the mine every day. Where I live, that's all there is to say. Where I live, that's all there is to say.
The town of Sandusky, Ohio was codenamed Hope, and that's where this song came from. Hope you like it.
My heart is heavy these days, these days. My heart is heavy these days. When the darkness comes to carry me away, the angels come to my aid. Well, there's freedom and hope, that's where I'm gonna go. Yeah, there's freedom and hope, that's where I'm gonna go. Cross the Jordan on the arrow from the old man's fold, straight to the promised land. My faith is shaking these days, these days. My faith is shaking these days. When I ask for signs to help me find my way, I am never led astray. 'Cause there's freedom and hope, that's where I'm gonna go. Yeah, there's freedom and hope, that's where I'm gonna go. Cross the Jordan on the arrow from the old man's bow, straight to the promised land. legs are weary these days, these days. My legs are weary these days. When the good Lord calls and they lay me in my grave, I will not be afraid. 'Cause there's freedom and hope. That's where I'm gonna go. Yeah,
There's freedom and hope.
that's where I'm gonna go. Cross the Jordan on the arrow from the old man's bow, straight to the promised land. Well, there's freedom and hope. That's where I'm gonna go. Yeah, there's freedom and hope. That's where I'm gonna go. Cross the Jordan on the arrow from the old man's bow, straight to the promised land. Cross the Jordan on the arrow from the old man's bow, straight to the promised land. Straight to the promised land.
This next song is a brand new song. We've only played it out a couple times. It's called Another Ghost Town. And it's about a woman who owns a diner in a town that the factory left, and the people are starting to leave because there's no work, and she's trying to hold the town together.
Every morning I head out before the sun to the diner right downtown. It isn't much, but I own her free and clear. Folks still come around. I'll stay as long as they keep coming, ready to admit defeat. Some days it's hard to keep on smiling, knowing how it used to be. This town's built from our blood and sweat and tears. This town's been our heart and soul over the years. This town's trying to rebound since they closed the factory down. This town doesn't want to be another ghost town. Ooh. Every 4 years the city folks come through, making speeches and shaking hands. They always stop in my diner for a while, where they lay out their big plans. And we believe what they are saying. Maybe that's why most folks stay. Promises won't feed your family, so one by one they move away. This town's built from our blood and sweat and tears. This town's been our heart and soul over the years. This town's trying to rebound since they closed the factory down. This town doesn't want to be another ghost town. Ooh. It's 4 o'clock and everyone's gone home. so I close and lock the door. I look around and I see what used to be in the husks of vacant stores. I can hear the church bells tolling, they have a mournful sound. And I'll be here again tomorrow, in case there's anyone around. This town's built from our blood and sweat and tears. This town's been our heart and soul over the years. This town's trying to rebound since they closed the factory down. This town doesn't want to be another ghost town. Ooh, another ghost town.
The next song is called This Road, and it's about a musician who's on the road and leaving their loved ones at home and how hard it is for the both of them.
Out here on the turnpike, the red glowing lights are all I see. As I crawl along this broken road, I long to have your company. But this line goes on for miles and miles, keeping me from your loving smiles. Please keep the porch light on for me. I'm on my way back home. This road takes me away from you, brings me home again, as faithful as a tide upon the shore. This road sometimes twists and turns, detours up ahead. Don't let this lead your heart to be unsure. It's not easy, but I hope we'll stay on this road. When you're married to a troubadour, you spend so many nights all alone. Most days we are lucky if there's time for us to talk on the phone. But you know I'll make it up to you when the tour winds down or passes through. You're my rock, I love you so. I'm on my way back home. This road takes me away from you, brings me home again, as faithful as a tide upon the shore. This road sometimes twists and turns, detours up ahead. Don't let this lead your heart to be unsure. It's not easy, but I hope we'll stay on this road. No stop signs, I'll be driving straight through. The headlights guide me through the night. Each white line brings me closer to you, until I am laid by your side. This road takes me away from you, brings me home again, as faithful as a tide upon the shore. This road sometimes twists and turns, detours up ahead. Don't let this lead your heart to be unsure. It's not easy, but I hope we'll stay on this road. It's not easy, but I hope we'll stay on this road.
Nice. Well, folks, this is the last song we're going to be doing for you tonight, and it's called Whiskey Joe. But before we do that, we'd like to thank Nick and his crew at Community Voice Channel for allowing us to come in and play for y'all. This song is a cowboy song, and it's about a guy who loses his horse, loses his girlfriend, and that's sort of what cowboys do. So it's called Whiskey Joe. Joe left for Texas to find a job on a cattle drive to run. Times got hard out on that trail. His best friend was his gun. The drive went bust one dusty day just west of old Santa Fe. Joe needed money to get back home, but the drover would not pay. Whiskey Joe,
Why you always on the run?
Whiskey Joe,
Hiding out behind your gun.
Whiskey Joe,
Come back to the farm with me, so we can start a family.
Joe found that man and stole his cash, then ran with all the fear he knows. Still to this day, he walks alone with a dream of going home. Whiskey Joe,
Why you always on the run?
Whiskey Joe,
Hiding out behind your gun.
Whiskey Joe,
Come back to the farm with me, so we can start a family. Don't you know that I love you, Whiskey Joe? And I promise to be true to you.
Now he sits on that bar stool there and speaks of his girl back home. He longs to see his Anna Rose, but he's traveling a long, dark road.
Can I run your troubled past? It doesn't matter now at all. All I want is you safe with me back home where you belong.
Here we go. Whiskey Joe,
Why you always on the run?
Whiskey Joe,
Hiding out behind your gun.
Whiskey Joe,
Come back to the farm with me, so we can start a family. Don't you know that I love you, Whiskey Joe? And I promise to be true to you.
Whiskey Joe,
Why you always on the run?
Whiskey Joe,
Hiding out behind your gun.
Whiskey Joe,
Come back to the farm with me, so we can start a family. So we can start a family. Yeehaw!
Good night, folks. Well, folks, this is the last song we're going to be doing for you tonight, and it's called Whiskey Joe. But before we go, we'd like to thank Nick and his crew here at Community Voice. Time out. Stop. Community Voice. Channel. I want to say television.
Don't just watch TV, make it. I know that's okay.
I'll leave that to you. We're going to do that again. I'm sorry.